Hi team, how you doing? Just gonna move it over a wee bit here actually because the sun is starting to stream in through the window, which is lovely, but not so lovely. You know, the winter sun, whenever it's really low in the sky, it's not good. I'm just gonna put a wee bit of Vaseline on. I was just sitting working away there, and I suddenly was like, "Oh crap! I have like 5 minutes before my Q&A," so I had to rush to be here. How are y'all doing? Back today for round two. How did you enjoy the masterclass earlier? Did you like it? I was actually in the group. And for those of you who are not in the Facebook group, the ones who are here on YouTube, we have like a whole party happening over in the Facebook group. You should definitely consider joining, even if you hate Facebook group. I actually put up a post there today, which was a how to eat over 50 post, which contained a huge amount of information about everything I've been teaching over the last couple of days because there seems to be a lot of confusion around it. So let me just clear up a couple of things first while we're here. Whenever I talk about no, people seem to be confusing no white starchy carbs with no white food. Okay. It's not no white food, it's no white starchy carbs. So starchy carbs are bread, pasta, rice, quinoa, bulgur wheat, all of those kinds of things. So you have to ask yourself, is it white? Was it white? Could it be white? So people say, is white bread allowed? No. What about brown bread? Could it be white? Well, yes, it could be because it's brown, but it could be white. Okay, it's not allowed. Ezekiel bread, could bread be white? Yes, could be white. Okay, not allowed. Brown pasta, could it be white? Yes, it could. Okay, not allowed. Lentil pasta, no. Black bean pasta, no. Okay, all of these pastas just have the fiber removed from them, which means, let me close all my stuff, which means that they are absorbed very, very, very quickly into the digestive system and they act like a white starchy carb. So you just want to make sure that you're not eating white starchy carbs. White food is allowed. Tofu is white, totally allowed. Tofu is a protein. Any white non-vegan protein is allowed as well. Cauliflower, interestingly, is also allowed, even though it's a white food, because it is a cruciferous vegetable. So just want to be super clear. And then the other thing I really just want to talk about before we start is yogurt gate. Yep, we have a thing in the group now called Yogurt Gate. I am not sure where the whole yogurt thing came from, but I'm astounded by how many of you are emotionally attached to your Greek yogurt. Like people are like, what about Greek yogurt? Fat-free Greek yogurt? But it's fat-free. I know he's saying the problem is we all come from the era of like, you know, the 70s and the 80s, less so the 70s, more the 80s. Many of us here kind of 70s and 80s girls. And in the 70s and 80s, they went through the fat-free era where our mothers all thought that fat-free was best. And then they kind of realized that that wasn't the case. So let me just tell you before we start a little bit about fat-free and why it's so bad for you. So there's two different things that you have to remember. There's the glycemic index, and then there's something which you may not have heard of because it's something that's really only discussed between diabetics. There's the glycemic index, and then there's the glycemic scale, even. Then there's the insulinemic index. Okay. So the insulinemic index is how fast a food causes your body to produce or release insulin. Many people have never heard of the insulinemic scale. So whenever you remove fat from a food, it actually rockets it up the insulinemic scale. What does this mean? Many people think that if they drink cow's milk, they think that they should be drinking fat-free cow's milk. But anything fat-free actually shoots your insulin response through the roof. Drinking about 200 mils of fat-free milk or eating fat-free Greek yogurt actually shoots your body's insulin response through the roof. Your body responds with insulin as if you had eaten 2 slices of white bread. And we are trying to tamper down the body's insulin response. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to spike it. So all of your fat-free Greek yogurts and your half fat and your fat-free creamers and milks and all these kinds of things are absolutely destroying your waistline. You really have been sold a lie. And I know that this has been very hard for many women to grasp. I have been in the Facebook group answering hundreds, thousands of questions every single day, like thousands. I'm in there like my hands are like there's steam coming out of my fingers, right? Because women are really there. A lot of the women are having a really, really hard time with what I'm teaching. Really hard time believing it because they're like, but I've been told that fruit is healthy. Like fruit is healthy. I'm not saying it's not, right? You haven't been sold a lie. Fruit is healthy. But is your goal to be healthy primarily, or is your goal to shred body fat primarily? Because if your goal is to shred body fat primarily, then you want to avoid the foods that will trigger your body to store body fat. And some of those foods will be very, very healthy. Nuts, very healthy, very bad for fat loss. Fruit, very healthy, very bad for fat loss. Ezekiel bread, very healthy, very bad for fat loss. So a lot what you really have to ask yourself and what you really need to be very clear on is, what is your goal? Is your goal primarily health, or is your goal primarily fat loss? Because you can have fat loss without sacrificing your health. How do I know? Because I am living proof of it. The reason why I developed this way of eating for women over 50, for menopausal women, and for vegan bodybuilders is because I wasn't prepared to sacrifice my health to look good. I was like, there must be a way I can have both. And there is a way you can have both. You can get every nutrient and every vitamin that your body needs to survive and thrive. And you can get them from plant protein sources. You can get them from lentils, beans, legumes, a whole variety of green cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli is one of the most nutritious foods on the planet. You don't need to eat mangoes and pineapples and watermelon and all of these foods to live a long and healthy life. They taste good and they are full of nutrients, but you have to ask yourself, what's your most important goal? So I just really wanted to start by saying this because you have to understand what your goal is. And I'm not trying to take away your yogurt because I'm a mean person. I'm not trying to make your life miserable. I'm actually trying to give you what it is you say you want. But this is a time for honesty. And this is where this whole Q&A is going to go into. We're going to went more into the mindset today, but this is your opportunity to be honest with yourself. Do you actually want it that much? And the honest to God's answer is, you might not. You might not want it that much. You might have thought that you wanted to get rid of your belly or your menopause belly or your love handles. You might have thought you wanted to be leaner. You might have thought you wanted to be healthier. And then I've presented to you a way that you can have it. And you're like, I was not prepared to do it, Kim. I'm like, no problem. But, that's why most people are broke. That's why most people don't have a lot of money. That's why most people start businesses and then don't grow them to be widely successful, because it's a lot of work. That's why there's not very many bodybuilders walking around in the world, because it's a lot of work. Anything you want is work. Anything. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it and pretend that it's not. But the question you have to ask yourself now is, do you want it enough? I'm not saying you need to make yourself miserable. In fact, I am not miserable. I have the best, most wonderful life, the healthiest body. I love food. I eat an enormous amount of it. I eat anything that I want, because I have now gotten to a place where my body is established in terms of I know exactly what I need to do every single day to maintain what I have built. I know exactly what food I need to eat. I know when I can have cheat days. I know when I can, like last night, for example, I came home after, I came home from here. I had dinner and then I was like, oh, I really want something sweet. And one of my go-to things when I want something sweet is peanut butter and vegan chocolate spread. And I get out the jar of peanut butter and the jar of vegan chocolate spread. And I go spoonful of peanut butter, spoonful of chocolate spread. And I num, and I eat it until I'm satisfied. And I probably ate a quarter of a jar would be too much. Maybe 10 teaspoons, maybe 12. I don't know. I wasn't even counting. I just ate until I felt like I'd had enough. Sweet craving is satisfied. And then I put the jars away. Do you know the last time I did that? I want to say 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago. Can't even remember. I'm not saying I don't eat sweet stuff. I do eat sweet stuff. Today I had like an oatmeal and peanut butter, like cookie bite thing. It's just all natural ingredients with a wee drizzle of dark chocolate on the top that my chef makes. I opened the fridge. I knew I was out and about doing stuff and I didn't have a lot of time to eat. And so I had a banana. It's on the no list, right? For most people, but I had a banana and I had one of these oatmeal cookies because I knew I wasn't going to get my lunch until about 2:00. And then that kept me going. But I know I can do that and it doesn't affect my results. But what you have to ask yourself is, are you willing to follow the guidelines that I'm giving you exactly to the letter to achieve your body goal first? Are you willing to do what it takes to look in the mirror and say, I'm happy with my results. I'm happy with my physique. Or not even I'm happy, but I now know I have now followed this diet that Kim has recommended, and I've given up my yogurt, my coconut yogurt. People are like, what about coconut yogurt? Okay. Can we just banish the word yogurt from everyone's vocabulary? No yogurt is allowed. Doesn't matter if it's unsweetened, fat-free, sweetened, coconut, soy, cow's milk, nothing. Yogurt is gone. Yogurt does not exist in your vocabulary anymore. No yogurt, right? No bread. Nothing that says pasta. Nothing that says rice, okay? They're gone. Stop asking, can I have them? You can't. Bulgur wheat? No. Bulgur wheat is a white starchy carb. So couscous? No. It's a white starchy carb. So you have to, it's like I'm joking with you guys, but really here's what you have to ask yourself before we get into the content. You have to ask yourself, there's two different ways of doing this, okay? I've given you all a set of guidelines that you can follow. If you don't want to count macros and calories, if you just want to eat and you want to lose the belly fat or the body fat that you've put on, and you want to short circuit the process that your body will adapt, which is insulin sensitivity, okay? Your body will divert energy to fat store to create more fat cells around your middle because they're estrogenic, because it wants to produce more estrogen. That is going to happen whether you're on HRT, whether you've had a hysterectomy, whether you've had your ovaries removed, doesn't matter. Your body doesn't know that you're taking synthetic hormones. All your body thinks is everything is declining in the reproductive system, must divert energy to fat store in order to store more fat. That's all your body's thinking, okay? That's going to happen. If you want to shortcut that process and stop your body from putting on body fat and lose the body fat that you have put on, but not in a measurable or not in a measurable, verifiable, reproducible way, right? If you're happy just to give it a shot and see what happens, well, you can follow the guidelines I'm giving you exactly, which is no white starchy carbs, no liquid calories. Liquid calories is not soup, guys, okay? Soup is blended vegetables. Liquid calories are sodas, fruit juices, alcohols, anything which you would drink, which is a liquid calorie, okay? No liquid calories, no white starchy carbs, no brown starchy carbs, no starchy carbs at all, okay? 30 grams of protein at every meal. Do not add any extra fat to your meal. These are the 4 principles. No white starchy carbs, no liquid calories. Add 30 grams of lean protein. Lean protein is not black bean burgers, and it's not chickpeas. It's seitan, tempeh, tofu, sunflower mince, textured vegetable protein, TVP, egg-free corn. If you're non-vegan, it's lean, white, non-vegan protein. It's not the fatty kind, okay? Or the red kind, or the marbled kind. Lean white protein. 30 grams added to your meal. Do not add any extra fat to your food. And what I mean by that is you can drizzle a little bit of olive oil. You can cook with olive oil. You can have some avocado, which is totally fine, or some guacamole. But do not be snacking on nuts. Do not be snacking on Greek yogurts. Do not be having, anything like that. Nuts are so high in calories. Do not add extra calories unnecessarily to your diet. So that's the first way. You can follow those 4 principles. And that's the first way you can eat. If you're like, you know what, I really am not prepared to give up some starchy carbs or fruit, this is also an option. But in this option, you must count calories. You must work out what your total daily energy expenditure is. And that's the amount of calories that you need that your body burns and that you burn off by doing activity every day to maintain your current level. That's what your TDE is. It's your BMR, the rate at which your body burns calories to keep you alive, plus the activity factor that you do every day. Add those 2 together, and that gives you the amount of calories that you have to eat every day to maintain your current size. Mine is currently 2,600. 2,600 calories per day allows me to maintain my physique because I have a huge amount of muscle. Muscle's very calorie hungry. If I was going to count calories and I wanted to lose body fat, I would eat below the 2,600. If you are tracking macros and calories, and therefore eating below your total daily energy expenditure, then you can add in some white starchy carbs. Still no yogurt. Yogurt is gone. Yogurt is banished. Forever gone. It's not allowed anymore. You just strike it from your vocabulary and take it out of the dictionary. You can have things like sweet potato, a little bit of couscous, quinoa, oats, whole grains. Okay. This is not a free for all buffet with the creamed potatoes and the pastas. No. Okay. You can have a small amount of these foods if you're tracking your calories and you're eating below your total daily energy expenditure. If you're prepared to put in the work and track your calories, then you knock yourself out, bad girl, and you have those starchy carbs and those fruits and those things that you simply cannot live without. But these are the two options that I'm offering to you. Now, are there other options available, which is stay the fuck the same, not change a bloody thing? Absolutely. That's totally an option. Doing absolutely nothing is absolutely an option. And there's loads of you. I would say probably 60% of you, 70% of you are going to leave this 5-day challenge and you're going to do absolutely nothing. You're going to make no change. And the other, maybe, let me see, let's say 60%. I would say there's another 20% of you are going to make some changes, adapt a little bit of change here and there. But you're not really prepared to give up your fruit or your oats. That crazy bitch in Ireland, she doesn't really know what she's talking about. She doesn't know that I live for a wee bit of pineapple in the morning and have a banana in my smoothie. So I'm not going to do as she says. I'm going to be very happy to just adapt some of the principles, see what happens. Does it work for my lifestyle? Totally okay. That's about the other 20% of you will do. And then there'll be 20% of you that will say, I'm going to go balls to the wall. I'm going to trust this crazy Irish bitch and I'm going to do exactly as she says, because what have I got to lose except a little bit of comfort? And I have done many uncomfortable things in my life and I'm willing to do more and see where it takes me because I'm here for the ride. And there's going to be 20% of you are going to act in that way. And this is just human beings. Do I judge you for it? No. I love every single one of you. I love you for your imperfections, for your flaws. I love you for your fuck ups. I love you for your successes. Do you know why I love you for all of your imperfections and your flaws and on even the defiant ones of you who fight me every step of the way that what I'm saying couldn't be true and you hang on to your Greek yogurt for dear life? I love you because I am that way too. I'm defiant and I question things and I don't do what I'm told and I've learned the hard way. And so if you don't love me for all my flaws, if you don't accept my flaws, then I can't accept your flaws. It's a two-way street. You have to accept me and my imperfections. And I can accept you and your imperfections. And it's a two-way street. So you can do nothing, stay exactly the same, say that, well, this was a fun couple of days, learned a lot. Great. She's quite funny, Kim, at times, actually. She entertained me. Yep. I would give her another couple of hours of my time just for the entertainment. That's perfect. I love that. I hope you hang around. And then you can be in the other camp, which is, yeah, I'm going to make some changes. Some of it was relevant. A lot of it isn't going to apply to me. I kind of like my life. Don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but yeah, learn some stuff, make some changes, see where it goes. Why not? And then there'll be the other part of you, the other ones of you who'll take it a bit further, adapt a bit more, go for it. And then there'll be the ones who'll go full hog. And that's fine because we're all different and we're all perfect and we're all wonderful. I just wanted to tell you that, right? I just really wanted you to know that because there's a lot of anxiety happening. And I really don't like the anxiety because really, here's what I have to say at the end of the day. I'm going to take some questions, right? Here's what I want to tell you all. It's just food. It's like, it's not life or death. It's just like, they're just abs and it's just fat. I know it's easy for me to say with my sculpted 6-pack abs and muscular quads and whatever, it's easy for me to say, it's easy for me to stand at the top of the mountain and say, happiness isn't up here, guys. Like, don't worry. And you're all like, but it is. It's easy for me to say that, but genuinely, it's not life or death. We're just here having fun, really. Bit of learning, bit of experimentation, bit of chat, bit of girl time, lots of love and acceptance. even though it doesn't seem that way sometimes in the groups. You're like, me, 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 me. I'm like, ooh, tempers are running high. It's like, woo, the coaches and I are like, woo, delete, delete, delete. Oh dear, no, but attention there. Get those two apart. Okay, edit. Edit is asking. What is edit asking? Edit Varus. How can I deal with the guilt that arises when I work out or take care of my goal-related stuff, but it requires neglecting my other responsibilities related to family? Let me think. So here's what I do when I answer questions. I always ask myself, what would have to be true for the person to ask this question? And I'll tell you what used to happen with me. I don't think that guilt isn't something that human beings are born with, okay? Guilt as a concept is something that we feel when we have violated our conscience. So as human beings, we're born with a conscience. We're not actually born with a conscience. That's not true. We are born with a sense of projection. We can project empathy. We can project suffering, and we can project empathy into other people. And so as human beings, we naturally want to be good in the world. We want to be good, and we want to be kind, and we're altruistic in that we're self-serving in many ways. Quite often as human beings, we do nice things for other people because it makes us feel good. So we think that we're doing something nice for someone else, for them, but we're not. We're doing it for the good feeling that we get from helping others, okay? Guilt happens when I recognize that something that I did violated an ethic that I have. And so my conscience goes, ooh, that wasn't a good thing. So let's say I do something that hurts someone else, and it wasn't on purpose. Well, I recognize the damage that I caused, and I go, oh no. And I recognize that a consequence of my action caused something that I did not intend to happen, and it wasn't good. Why would I not just fix the thing that I did and apologize or repair the damage or whatever it took? Why do I need guilt? Have you ever thought about guilt and what guilt actually is? Guilt is something that we apply to ourselves. It's a way we beat ourselves up in the hope that if we beat ourselves up enough, you won't beat me up as well. So if I say, oh my God, I feel so guilty, like I feel so guilty about it, like why would guilt be necessary? Do you ever think about this? Guilt is a form of self-punishment. It's a form of self-beating. And so there's a feeling that happens when we recognize that we have violated our conscience. We've acted in a way that is not up to our ethical or moral standards. But rather than just repairing the damage, we now feel guilty. And we go around, oh my God, I'm so guilty. I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty. Well, if I feel guilty and I'm beating myself, it means that you can't beat me because I'm already beating myself, right? And if I show you I'm beating myself so much, I'm going to protect myself from being beaten by you. This is usually a strategy that kids develop, right? We develop this strategy because our parents punish us. And whenever we know the punishment is coming, we want to show guilt and remorse, because if we just show guilt, then we can show them that we feel really, really bad about it. And if I feel really, really, really bad, like really, really, really bad about it, and I show you just how bad I feel, you won't punish me. And so guilt is actually self-protective in nature. We demonstrate it when we're kids to protect ourselves from the adults in our lives punishing us, because them punishing us feels bad. It feels scary, right? We're little kids. We're like, it's not nice to be shouted at or spanked or punished. And the more severe the punishment is, the more guilt we apply to ourselves. But have you ever considered that guilt isn't necessary? How so? Well, whenever someone says, how do I get over feeling guilty for taking care of myself? My next question usually is, why is the guilt necessary? Who are you afraid is going to punish you? Because that's the only reason why we choose to use guilt. It's to protect ourselves from punishment. Now, it could be that you're just carrying a legacy over from childhood, i.e., you were punished as a child, and now that you're married and you you start interacting your childhood relationship with your husband unknowingly because it's in your primitives. And so anytime you do something nice for yourself, you're scared he's going to punish you. And he may have punished you in the past, or he may not have punished you, but your fear of the punishment's going to come. So you feel really, really guilty and beat yourself up to stop the punishment from coming. So my question is, why would it be necessary for you to do that? And that's a question you have to ask yourself. Because is a beaten you better than a non-beaten you? I don't think so. So why would it be necessary for you to beat yourself up? Why can't you just act in the world? And then if the punishment comes, say your husband says, or your wife says, you going out again to the gym? Again? So now they're punishing you. You're going to the gym again. You're obsessed. You're obsessed with that gym. Well, why would someone choose to do that, right? Why would we choose to punish another person? Well, here's why we punish other people. We punish other people because something you're doing, something in the external world, breaks one of my rules or makes me uncomfortable in some way. My wife going to the gym all the time means that she might not be there to serve my needs or cook the food for the family. I had pasta twice last week. This is really not acceptable because she was in the gym. And this feels uncomfortable to me. I don't like this. I don't like the fact that my wife is never here anymore and she's always at the gym, or she's eating really healthy food. Now I have no one to drink and eat with. I like having pizza and wine on a Friday night. Now she's eating kale and drinking sparkling water. Now, God damn it, this feels uncomfortable for me. And I don't like this feeling of discomfort. So I have to try and change her back to the way she was so that I can go back to feeling comfortable. So what do? I start leaving little snide comments, right? About why she's at the gym so much, or that she's never here. And I start to push her buttons, the buttons that I know she has installed because I know her very well. I know she has a wee guilt button in there when it comes to the kids. So maybe one day I drop that in and I go, oh, well, the kids were asking for you, but like, you're never here anymore. You're such a shit mother. I might even pull out the big guns, right? Like, pull out the big guns. Because if she's not responding to my little barbs, now I have to make her feel really guilty, right? To try to change her behavior so that I can go back to feeling comfortable, because I don't want to feel uncomfortable. So she isn't responding to my little punishments that I'm throwing her way. I'm like throwing pebbles at her, but the pebbles aren't really landing because she's still going to the fucking gym every day, right? And I'm still stuck here with feeling uncomfortable. So, okay, well, maybe I'm going to pick up a few rocks. So I start to chuck a few rocks, right? And I start to tell her that everyone is noticing that she's never home anymore. And, I came home from work last night and maybe I go for the emotional side. All I wanted to do was spend time with you. And you weren't even here. And I had such a hard day. And I had to cope with it all alone. Is that working? And then she's like, and then the next night she was due to go to the gym, but now she's home. I'm like, oh, worked. Great. This isn't cognitive, by the way. This is what's happening. Great. Okay, that worked. So that works for a while, right? She's at home a little bit more, but then she starts going back to the fucking gym. And now I'm back to feeling uncomfortable because I come home and my wife isn't there and the food isn't cooked and this is not acceptable to me. So what do I start doing? Well, I start punishing her. Now I pull out the big guns. The children were commenting the other day that they never see you anymore and they're feeling neglected. Dagger to the heart. I know this is going to hurt her, right? No, this is going to get her where she wants. Get her exactly where I want her. So I move her. So now what does she do? She gives up the gym. Great result. Now I have my wife back home with me. Yeah, she's a little overweight. She's a little squidgy and whatever, but like, yeah, she's fine. She doesn't really need to get fit. Like, doesn't matter what she wants really, as long as I'm comfortable, right? That's the only thing that really matters. This is how human beings act every single day. This is not just other people. This is you. This is me. This is everybody. We have a set of rules and criteria in the world, which is how we want the world to be. And when people break our rules or people do things that cause us to feel uncomfortable, or we have a very tightly knit, controlled little environment and world of the way it's supposed to be, and I have everything set up, and my wife and my kids and my home and my job, and it's all set up very well, and now my wife has tipped over the bloody apple cart because she wants to get fit, and now we can't eat and drink together anymore, and we can't go to do all the things we used to enjoy anymore, and I am unwilling to change. It's unfair that she should expect me to change. This isn't a relationship. There aren't two people in this. It doesn't require compromise. This isn't what I signed up for. I signed up for this version of her that likes to eat and drink and have wine and pizza and, veg out in front of the TV. I didn't sign up for this version, this gym bunny, healthy eating version of my wife. I didn't sign up for her. And now that I've got her, I don't like her. So I need to try and move her back to this version. How I do that is through punishment. Start with the pebbles, go to the rocks, and then we pull out the big guns. This is what happens over time. So what we do is, whenever we know or expect that this is going to start happening from someone in our life that's close to us, we start to feel guilty. But the guilt is a protection from the pain. So what I would ask you to consider is, what would be the worst part if you just called out whoever it is in your life that you're afraid is going to have an emotional reaction to you doing things for you? And when they have that emotional reaction, you call them out on it and you say, you seem upset. Why is this bothering you? And they'll be going, no, it's not bothering me. And you'd be like, really? You sure? No, I'm fine. Oh, okay, great. And you just keep going. So I do with my husband. When my husband punishes me and he doesn't do it very often, let me tell you, because we have a really good relationship. But if he ever punishes me by text message, verbally, like snide remarks, anything, I go to him, ouch. Why would you do that? Why would you punish me? He goes, no, I didn't. I'm like, no, clearly you did. Understand, that's exactly what you were doing. So what's going on for you that you need to punish me? You need me to change what I'm doing so you can feel okay. Because understand, people only punish because they want to feel okay. They want to go back to feeling okay. And something you're doing is triggering them to not feel okay. So they want you to change because they're unwilling to change. So I would ask yourself, why is it that you have to change? And why can you not do the things that you want to do? And the person who you're afraid is going to punish you can do the things they want to do. And then you can sit down and have a conversation about the things you want to do together and the new direction that your lives are taking. Whether it's your kids, your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, your significant other, your partner, whoever it is, there's someone in your life that you're afraid is going to punish you if you take care of yourself. And so what I would do is, rather than trying to stop yourself from feeling guilty, I would sit down with the person, I would have a conversation with them and say, this is what I want to do. In fact, this is what I'm going to do. But I don't want what I'm going to do to affect our relationship negatively. And I know that you like it when we do X, Y, and Z together. So how can together we make it that I have this, because this is important to me, but you also have what's important to you? Can we sit down and figure this out? Isn't that a much more adult way to deal with things? But as human beings, we're conflict avoiders. We're conflict avoiders. My husband said to me the other week, he said, I used your line today in a meeting. He was in London having meetings and he said, I used your line today. I said, well, what line's that? He said, the one you always say to the kids. Your success in life will be measured by the amount of difficult conversations you're willing to have. I say it to my kids constantly. Your success in life is measured by the amount of difficult conversations you're willing to have. The reason why many of you don't want to give up pasta and bread and Greek yogurt and fruit and all of those things that you're emotionally attached to is because you don't want to be uncomfortable. And I get it. I'm not judging you for it. But the reason why you're not having difficult conversations with people in your lives is because you don't want to be uncomfortable, because it is deeply uncomfortable to sit down and have that uncomfortable conversation. And the person might get angry and they might blame you. All of these things might happen. But what is worse is staying silent and a little part of you dies. And another part of you dies and another part of you dies, and you give up on your dreams and you give up on your goals and you give up on the things in your life that are important to you because you're unwilling to do the uncomfortable thing and have the difficult conversation. And then you end up in divorce. Because you compromise and compromise and compromise and compromise because you're avoiding the difficult conversation. And you're avoiding pushing the other person to look at their behavior because God forbid they might get angry. Anger is just a discharge of pain. It's just how the body discharges pain. And it's the only acceptable emotion that men are allowed to have. Women can cry and we can get angry and we can throw things and we can have histrionics and all these things. Whenever little boys are little boys, they're taught big boys don't cry. The only acceptable emotion that a man is allowed to feel is anger. And so we grow up and then we're told by our mothers, just you wait till your father gets home. So we learn to fear the men in our lives. When we're kids, we're like, what the hell is going to happen when daddy gets home? And then maybe one day daddy does come home and daddy smacks us and punishes us. And we learn, better not make the men angry. So we grow up and we get married and we spend our lives trying to avoid our husbands being angry. Because when we were younger, we were taught best to avoid the anger from the man in your life. Very bad lesson to teach your children. So I know I've gone very deep into this, but I think it's really important because it is something that many, many women struggle with. And this, a lot of you have only heard my nutrition kind of expertise this week, right? Many of you will have followed me for a long time, but this, what I'm teaching you right now, this is my superpower. Teaching people the concepts that hold them back in their life, the mindset shifts that they need to make. This is actually my superpower. And your unwillingness to be uncomfortable and have the difficult conversations and avoid the foods that you shouldn't be eating to have the thing that you want in the long term, which is a kick-ass body, healthy, fit, toned, strong, mature body. You're just unwilling to be comfortable in the moment. So if you can give up your comforts in the moment, you can achieve greatness in your life. But it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And it's something you have to train yourself to do. But you have to train yourself to be uncomfortable. And honestly, after that, everything changes. Okay, I'm just going to grab random questions here. Sandy Albert. I started eating plant-based. It's a very long one, so I'm going to put it up. I started eating plant-based for health and longevity reasons, but recently finished, I think she means the 4-week shred. Absolutely love doing that. Look forward to doing more programs. My question is around living the bodybuilder lifestyle ongoing. The plant-based doctors that I follow are adamant and show strong evidence that high-protein diets are detrimental to longevity and long-term health. Okay, that's all I can see of your comment. Even plant-based protein, and we don't need nearly as much. Okay, I'm getting the gist of what you're saying, Sandy. So, Sandy, you will find an expert to confirm anything that you want to confirm on the internet. That is one thing I know for sure. The reason why the plant-based doctors that you're following are saying you do not need a high protein diet is because they are trying to move people away from eating animal protein. And the biggest question that people ask, although people say this to me all the time, I have never been asked this question in my entire life. I think it's an urban myth that this question is asked. People say, they're always asked, oh, where do you get your protein? I have never in all my time bodybuilding been asked, where do you get your protein? Never. So that's the reason why those plant-based doctors are very big on the narrative that high protein diets are detrimental. I have never seen any scientific study done over a long enough period to determine whether that is true or not. So I actually can't give you an answer as to whether it is or whether it isn't. But one thing I will tell you is we have a lot of women running around the world believing that soy is bad for you and that soy mimics estrogen in the body and should not be taken by people who have thyroid problems or breast cancer or whatever. Bullshit. Total and utter crap. There is zero scientific evidence and research to support that claim. I went deep into the research. Deep with James Wilkes, who's a good friend of mine, who's the producer of the Game Changers movie. I have James on speed dial. We went deep into the research. What they found years ago, that there is a property in soy which is similar to one of the components of a cell that is in breast tissue. Right? And so they went, I wonder if someone consumed a lot of soy, would it cause these cells to multiply? Because if these cells multiplied, that could cause breast cancer. And that is the basis for the breast cancer soy debate. One component in soy is similar to one cell in breast cancer. I think it actually showed that maybe that it produced more of these cells, right? And they went, if there were more of these cells, could this cause breast cancer? No direct link, no peer-reviewed studies, no scientific studies, nothing. And that is where the soy breast cancer link came from. It is astonishing when you actually go into the research. And then if you do go into the research, what you have to ask yourself is, who funded the research? It's not enough to look at the research. In anything that you do, you have to go deeper than that and say, who funded the research? I never give absolutes, ever. I never say this is this or this is this. They could be right. A high protein diet for over the long term possibly could affect your health and longevity. But then I would have a question. What constitutes high protein? How much is high protein? Is 30 grams high protein? 40 grams, 50 grams, 90 grams, 100 grams, 150 grams? Is it one gram per pound of body weight? Is that high? Half a gram? 1.5 grams? 3 grams? Do you see what I'm saying? The problem with most of us is we don't ask enough questions. And the other thing you have to remember is everybody is correct down to their assumption. So if I make an assumption that if I go, oh, high protein can potentially cause this thing over here, that's my assumption. So this means that this might cause this. Well, if that's my assumption, I'm correct because I'm assuming that this and that this causes this and this causes this. So I am correct in my assumption because it's an assumption. It's a hypothesis. That doesn't mean it's actually true in reality. So I can't give you an answer as to whether that's true or not because I haven't done any research. I can only give you what I have seen in my own body. I have seen in the hundreds of thousands of women that I've coached. And I can only give you my opinion, which is, I don't know, actually. I can't even give you my opinion. My opinion is I have never seen the research to support this. I would encourage you to ask questions. Do they have an ulterior agenda? Plant-based doctors usually do. Just like the meat companies want everyone to believe that soy causes breast cancer. Why? So that they'll keep eating meat. Of course. So they funded a lot of research to prove that soy causes cancer and thyroid problems. So ask yourself, what's the research? And then ask yourself, who funded the research? And that might give you an answer. So I'm sorry I can't actually give you more of an answer, but I think that's a very, very important point to make. Love this. A couple of quick fire ones. Mrs. Organizer, I realized I went and put on some blusher or some like bronzer whenever I was in the bathroom there before I started. And I think I put a wee bit too much on. Just looking at myself, like very brown here. Pea protein meats, yay or nay? I don't know what pea protein meats are, but if they're low carb, based on what I'm teaching, if they're low carb and low fat, then rock on. People are like, oh, I would never eat corn because it's processed. I'm like, you better stay away from corn then. If that's important to you. There's lots of other things you can eat. For me, I've never had an issue eating any processed meats because they make up a teeny tiny little portion of my overall diet. And your body is wired for survival. Your body is wired to keep you healthy and to clear out toxins and to clean up the body. And if you don't give it enough things to do, that's a problem. So processed food never bothered me. So I can't give you an answer as pre-protein. I know some have sugar in them. Again, don't know. Low calorie tonic water. No. Low calorie tonic water usually has aspartame in it. Water, sparkling water, no tonic water. Sucralose and protein powder, yeah or nay? This is a really good one. Okay. So I have a lot of people, the protein powder that we recommend is the Wonder Shake by the Protein Works. It's an amazing protein. They used to use stevia as the sweetener, but now they use sucralose. I wasn't a massive fan of the change from stevia to sucralose, but I went into it a little more and I decided after some research that I was happy enough with that. But I want to talk to you a little bit about sucralose because loads of people were going, but you said to avoid artificial sweeteners because they cause an insulin response. So why is it okay to have it in protein powder? Well, it's because you have to understand the nature of protein powder. Protein is not broken down into glucose. Protein is broken down into amino acids, which is then used to build and repair cell tissue. So protein can be converted to glucose via the liver in a process called glucogenesis. But protein cannot be broken down into glucose in just by, going through the small intestine. It's broken down into amino acids. So whenever you drink the Wonder Shake and it has sucralose in it, yes, sucralose, and not just the sucralose, but the food hitting your stomach causes an insulin response. Anytime you eat, insulin is released. You can't stop it from happening, okay? Because insulin is the storage hormone. As soon as you eat, then insulin wants to store the food. But whenever you have protein powder, I'm going to go sneeze. Excuse me. Whenever you have protein powder and you drink it, and it's, or you eat it, because we make it into protein ice cream sometimes. You just blend it with ice and water and eat it with a spoon. It's absorbed through the small intestine into the bloodstream, and it's broken down into amino acids. So yes, insulin is released, but the amino acids are not converted to glucose and then sent to fat store. The amino acids are used to build and repair muscle. And so yes, once your body has stored all of the amino acids anywhere that they're needed in the body, and insulin does that, then if there's anything left over, it's sent to the liver. The liver, through glucogenesis, converts it into glucose, puts it back into the bloodstream, and then insulin picks it up. And if it's not needed in the cells, then it sends it to fat store. But this is the process. Drink the protein released into the blood, converted to amino acids. Insulin's released, takes the amino acids around the bloodstream, stores them in all the tissues. Anything left over, sent to the liver, converted into glucose, sent back into the bloodstream. Now there's a small amount of glucose floating around the bloodstream. It doesn't stimulate another insulin response, but there will be insulin still in the blood, and insulin will then go around the muscles, seeing is there any glucose needed in the muscles. There's practically nothing left over for fat store. So whenever you have sucralose in something like protein powder, especially if you're just drinking a protein shake blended with ice and water, there's no other carbs in there. So if you're having a protein shake loaded with carbs and fruit and all that kind of stuff, which a lot of people do, then the insulin response from the sucralose will pick up the blended fruit in your protein shake, will convert it to fructose, or will convert the fructose to triglycerides in the liver very quickly and convert them as fats into fat store. Yes. So that's why I don't put fruit and bananas and all different kinds of stuff in my protein shake, because I don't need it. If I'm going to have a protein shake, I just want the protein. I don't have a protein shake as a meal. I have a protein shake because I want protein to build and repair muscle tissue. So I think that whenever you start training as a bodybuilder, or you start training with a bodybuilder mindset, you start to see food very differently. Most people see food as comfort. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Oh, I can't wait to get home and have dinner. And, it's like and I'm not saying I love eating. Like, I love eating, but I would not want to sit down to a big greasy plate of French fries. And saying that, I did on Sunday, actually, and they were delicious. But that's the first time I've eaten French fries in, I don't know, whatever. Like, sometimes Ryan and I'll go out and, whenever we were in France recently and we ordered vegan burgers, like this gorgeous big vegan burger, I was eating away. And they bought a big plate of French fries with it. And I didn't eat any of them. I was like, no, I'm done. Once I'd eaten the burger, I was fine. And I just let them take away the French fries again. I had no need to eat them. Could I have stuffed them in? Yeah, probably. But I'm like, yeah, big greasy plate of fat and carbs. Unnecessary. I'm full after the burger. It was delicious. Had a big salad on the side. So I am very unemotional about food. I am not emotionally attached to food. I used to be, believe me, especially when I dieted all the time. Like, who here has been dieting for most of their life? And so they just want all the sugar and the food. I used to go and stand. I used to put gas in my car, and I used to go in to pay for it into the petrol station. And I used to stand and look at the chocolate and go, gonna buy one, gonna buy one, gonna buy one. This is before I was vegan. Gonna buy one, gonna buy one. No, gonna buy one. Yep, no. And I used to inch up. I'm trying to do something with my hands. And sometimes I got to the till and I just went, and I just grabbed a chocolate bar and set it on the thing. And it was almost like it happened really quickly. And then I would pay for it and I would go into the car and I would rip it open and I would eat it really fast. Almost if I ate it really, really fast and it was gone really quickly, it didn't happen. And then I'd be like, oh, why did you do that? And then I would feel I was so mad with myself because I wasn't able to go in to pay for my bloody fuel and not get a chocolate bar. And I would feel guilty, and I would go, right, that's it. I'm going to go for a run tonight. I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to go and burn off those calories. And I'm going to do an extra hour. Right. So that's how I make myself feel better. I'm going to go for a run later. I'm going to get up at 7:00 in the morning, and I'm going to go for a run. And 7:00 in the morning would come, and I would remember that I was supposed to go for a run. And then I would try on in my body getting up and going for a run in the cold early morning versus staying in bed where it was warm and comfortable and cozy. And I would think, nah, I don't really need to go for a run. The pain of eating the chocolate bar had kind of left me by that point. So I don't need to go for a run. But then all day I would remember that I had not only eaten the chocolate bar, but then I had promised myself I'd go for a run and I hadn't. And then the problem with this is, guys, your life builds up a series of broken promises to yourself. I have a whole podcast on this. A whole podcast on if you cannot keep your word to yourself, you have nothing. If you cannot believe your own word, your own inner word, if you can't keep the promises you make to yourself, you are fucked. Sorry for the very strong swear word, but you're fucked. How can you expect to keep any promise that you make to anyone else in your life if you can't even keep the promises that you make to yourself? I learned this the hard way. I used to be like this. I used to be a series of broken promises to myself. The chocolate bar I wasn't going to eat. The chocolate cake I wasn't going to eat. The diet I was going to start. The alcohol I wasn't going to drink. The party I wasn't going to go to. The run I was going to take. The gym I was going to join. The yoga class I was going to show up to every Monday morning at 6:00. All of these aspirations I had for how I wanted to be. And they were completely unrealistic because I was never getting up at 6:00 in the morning to go for a run in the dark. It just wasn't going to happen. But I used all these things to punish myself for the things that I did that were bad, that I wasn't supposed to do. And it made me feel better in the moment that I could punish myself in the future. But then I never actually showed up and did the punishment. Or I did, and it felt so crap and my body hurt for so long that I was never going to do that again. And so my life was just a series of one broken promise to myself after another. And this shit eats away at you. It's no wonder we're walking around medicated, overspending, over drinking, overeating. We're stuffing down. I honestly believe that Brene Brown says we are the most medicated, overweight, obese, alcoholic, in debt cohort since the human race began. And I believe it's because we are spending our lives stuffing down our feelings. And we're stuffing down the broken promises that we have not kept to ourselves. Or the promises we have not kept to ourselves, which then become broken promises. What if you just decided not to do it anymore? What if you just decided to make a change? To just start with one thing, just one, and just see it through to the end. Just show up when you say you're going to show up. And then if you can't show up, if you say you're going to show up and you fully intend to show up and the alarm goes off at 5:00 and you turn the alarm off and you go back to sleep and then you wake up, instead of pretending that it didn't happen and stuffing it down, you pull it out and you look at it and you go, wow, that was interesting. I said I was going to get up at 5 a.m. That alarm went off. Didn't even hear it. Wow, I didn't even realize I did that. Like I must have slapped that damn thing off at 5 a.m. going straight back to sleep. Okay, so now I recognize where I have a failure. So tomorrow I'm going to set 2 alarms, right? One there and one there. 2 alarms it is tomorrow. And so you recognize where you failed. You look at the failure. You figure out how to fix the failure and you try again because you're committed to getting to the end. Problem is most of us aren't committed to getting to the end. Most of us are committed to feeling good in the moment and covering up the bad feelings when they come. Oh, failed at the chocolate bar. Well, that's okay because you're going to go for a run in the morning. Great. Oh, covered up the bad feeling. Covered up the bad feeling with a promise I'm going to go for a run in the morning. Not actually sure if I'm going to do it or not, but it sure made me feel good in the moment. Anyone relating to this? Or is it just like Is it just me? Am I the only one that does this? You guys probably don't do this. You guys are probably all perfect. You're probably all like, no, can't relate to this at all, Kim. It's all the other people who didn't show up here today. All those people, they're all the ones who do all this. Okay, couple more questions. What have we got? There's so many here. Ugh. I missed why yogurt is a no-no. This is genuinely becoming yogurt gate. Mac, I'm so sorry. I have to post this. This is so funny. This is genuinely becoming yogurt gate. Yogurt is a no-no because it is an unnecessary calorie. You don't need yogurt. You genuinely don't need it. I would honestly look at why anyone here is emotionally attached to yogurt, what belief you have around it, and I would look at that. But to give you the science behind it, is full fat Greek yogurt okay? Is it healthy? Well, it depends on what your view of health is. I don't believe that any animal protein is good for you, but that's a debate for another day. Could you eat it if you're on a normal diet? Yeah. But on the diet that I'm teaching you, which is all about losing belly fat and looking gorgeous and fabulous over 50, is why would you need the extra calories? Why would you give yourself all those fat calories? For what? Because it feels good? Because you like eating it? Because you're like, but I would miss my Greek yogurt with my berries in the afternoon. Tough shit. Sorry. Do you know what this is? This is me playing the world's smallest violin for you. Or my husband does this to me. He goes, here, take these. Take these. And I go, what's this? Put my hand. And he goes, there's a couple of hard nut pills. Whenever I'm having a whinge, you don't want to do it. He's like, a couple of hard nut pills for you. Always makes me laugh. I'm like, fuck you, Ryan. Fuck you. Or he's like, the world's smallest violin. Yeah, like honestly, whenever you eat this way, whenever you have a big breakfast, problem is, okay, let me tell you one more thing before we finish. You guys are all so used to dieting that you're not used to no portion control. See, whenever you eat this way, whenever 80% of your plate is green cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and asparagus and green beans and spinach, and then you've got 30 grams of lean protein on the side, and then maybe if you want 100 grams of beans, or not 100 grams, but 10% beans or lentils or whatever. See, whenever your plate is filled with just those things, it can be piled like a mountain. And there's no portion control. Let me tell you, whenever you've eaten all that food, you're not hungry again until dinner time. I've had so many people ask me in the group, well, what am I supposed to snack on? I'm like, why would you need to snack? People ask me that all the time. It's one of my most commonly asked questions. People never ask me, where do you get your protein? They ask, because clearly, like, I'm not lacking in protein. And people they never ask me where to get protein. They say, what do you snack on? And I'm like, why would I need to snack? So it's made me realize that women are so used to dieting and having these tiny little portions that they think they need to snack. They're starving between meals. I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's it. I don't snack. When I eat dinner, I go to bed. Sometimes I'll get hungry in the evening because like I need 2,600 calories a day just to maintain my physique. So sometimes if I have dinner at like 5 or 5:30 and I don't eat carbs or a lot of fats, I just eat the green vegetables and the protein that my chef makes. And so sometimes at maybe 9 or 10 o'clock, I'll be like, oh, I'm a wee bit hungry. What'll I have? Sometimes I have a protein shake, and sometimes I call to the kids to make me a piece of toast, white toast, loads of vegan butter. I can do that because I maintain a 15% body fat all year round, and I have actually achieved my body goals. So I can have white toast or pizza or chocolate or bread or pasta or French fries. I can have anything that I want, and I do when I want to have them. So, but that's the only time that I will snack. Apart from that, whenever you're eating this way, you don't need to snack. I promise you, you won't need to snack. But there's no portion control. Like you're not limiting the amount of broccoli that you're going to eat. I was actually going to do this thing at home, right? And I really wish I had it here. And I think I might do it. I was going to first of all, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my chef tomorrow. I'm going to like whip out the camera, go live. I'm going to teach you how to make scrambled tofu. He makes it every morning for me and my daughter, right? And it's delicious. And so I'm going to get him to teach you how to make scrambled tofu, and I'm going to do it tomorrow in my own kitchen, right? So I'm not sure what time, but it'll probably just be alive. You can catch the replay. But what I was thinking today was, I was like, I know what would really demonstrate this so well. And I was going to get Lee, my chef, to make a big bowl of rice, about the size of a head of broccoli, right, of rice. And then I was going to get a head of broccoli. And I was going to put the two of them side by side, and I was going to say, here is how to demonstrate why it's not important what makes it into your stomach. It's important what makes it into your bloodstream. Because if I was to hold up a head of broccoli, right, and it's this size here, about the size of my head, If you were to eat that whole head of broccoli, if you were to break off one floret, right? So you've got all the broccoli here and you've got one floret here. This floret is all that makes it into your bloodstream as calories. This size of the broccoli is the only amount of the broccoli that actually makes it into your bloodstream as calories. If you had a head of broccoli size of cooked white rice and you got an egg cup, right? And you scooped an egg cup size of rice. So you have all the rice here and you have an egg cup here filled with rice. All of this is what makes it into your bloodstream as glucose. And this tiny little egg cup is what gets passed through as poop. With broccoli, it's the opposite. It's all of the broccoli, apart from one tiny floret, gets passed through as poop. And all of the rice, apart from one tiny egg cup full, gets absorbed into the bloodstream. And the egg cup full gets passed through as poop. That's the best analogy that I can come up with as to why whenever you eat the way I'm teaching you, there's no portion control. Because you're literally just making poop. And the other thing I have to tell you is, we have a lot of poop talk here in the office. I always remember whenever we moved, we have this beautiful new office building now. Whenever we moved here, I can't remember. I think it was Natalie and I. Natalie's my work wife, as I call her. She's my PA, but oh my God, she's like my wife. And I was telling her about my poop one day. I was like, yep, I poop like 5 times a day. She was like, no. I was like, no, I do really. She's like, no, 5? I was like, yeah, 5. She was like, I was like, sometimes 6 or 7. No, it can't be possible. And I was like, it is. I was like, and your poop should be, I tell people this all the time, it should be the length from your wrist to your elbow and the circumference of when you put your finger on the join of your thumb here. It should be about that size, and the length from your wrist to your elbow when you poop. Now, I know you're all going to this now. Looking at your arm. This is what I always do whenever I teach this to people. They're always holding up their arms. But you should be doing that 3 times a day, minimum. I honestly go to the bathroom 6 or 7 times a day. I'm not even kidding. Nothing stays in my digestive system. Sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I would go like every 3 or 4 days. I'm like, 3 or 4 days? Can you imagine all that impacted fecal matter like being reabsorbed into your bloodstream? Oh, not good. If you find yourself having trouble going to the bathroom, you need to take magnesium. Magnesium draws water into the bowel and it causes stool motility, it's called. And so you can take up to like 6,000 milligrams before you go to bed if you suffer from any kind of constipation. And that is the best way to move things along. So, and if you find that it makes things a little too loose, well, then just cut back a little bit. You really can't overdose on magnesium. So that's just as a wee side note. Don't know how I got into the poop talk, sorry, but I think we've done really well. We've gotten through 3 full days, and I think I've only mentioned my bowel movements once. You guys are very lucky. Normally it's like, no, it's constant. You know, whenever someone has a baby and you constantly talk about baby poop and sore nipples and breast milk and all the rest of it. We have a lot of poop talk in our company, but you become very proud of your poop. Someone actually, just to finish, someone posted our Facebook group the other week and she was like, never in my life, this is one of the challenges, never in my life did I ever think that I would be putting this post, but here we are. She goes, I think I've just had what would be considered the perfect poo. She said it was perfect in length and shape. There was no smell. She was like, the color was amazing. She was describing her perfect poop. We were in absolute wrinkles. All the women in the group, we were like, me too. This is amazing. Others were like, well, I am jealous. I have not reached that standard of pooping yet. And it was like the best thread ever. But this is what happens whenever you become very invested in your digestive system and how things move through your body and your health and your wealth. And this is a journey, guys. And I'm so happy that you're here with me. I know there's an enormous amount of information that I'm throwing at you in these 5 days, but hopefully you're going to hang around. Like, I am releasing the most kick-ass, unbelievable It Works program on Friday. It's a 6-week program for the over 50s. It has every single thing that you need to succeed. You are going to be blown away whenever I show you what is in this program and how much of the work we have done for you and how much hand holding you're going to get, how much coaching. We are coaching every single day live in groups for 6 weeks. It's a full hold your hand program. But whether or not you purchase it or you don't, I am not going anywhere. And I am always, always available with information and with lives and whatever. If you go on YouTube and you look on my YouTube channel, The Sculpted Vegan, you will find I ran a 5-day fitness and motivation challenge, not for the over 50s. I ran it only a month ago or 6 weeks ago. And it's available in YouTube. If you go in and look for it, you'll find all the videos. If you love the mindset stuff, if you loved what I was talking today about guilt and about, and about punishment and all that kind of stuff, go and watch that series. If I do say so myself, your mind will be blown. People still refer to it as life-changing. And it was just videos and Q&As every day. And honestly, you will absolutely and utterly love it. I promise. And if you love what I'm teaching here and you want more of this, go and go out for a walk with the dog and stick them on and listen to them. But whether you choose to invest with me in a program, whether you never invest, I'm not going anywhere. And I teach this stuff constantly. I love it. Love teaching. And I'm going to open a free group actually as well. I'm not sure when, very soon, I think, probably before the end of the year, I'm going to open a free Facebook group where I'm going to be coaching every week. And I don't know how often, but I'm going to do loads of coaching in business and bodybuilding. I'm going to take questions. I'm going to record them because I'm going to start building out my YouTube channel now with millions of free content. So you're very welcome to be a part of that group and, ask me loads of questions there. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because this is a journey, right? You've joined this challenge. You're here on this journey. This is the start of it for you. You don't have to be perfect after these 5 days. You don't even have to join the 6-week challenge. You don't even have to change your lifestyle. You might just want to just hop in and have some cocktails because the water's warm and you're like, I kind of like this girl. She's a bit funky and a bit funny and I'm not going to change anything, but I kind of like listening to her. She's funny and she entertains me. So I'm going to stick around for the entertainment. I'm delighted if you just stick around for the entertainment. It's my absolute joy and pleasure to entertain you. So if you kind of just like being entertained, stick around, hang around, let me educate you, let me help you. And then one day you might go, yeah, you know what? I actually might try one of her things because I've listened to her long enough now. And I'm fed up listening to her banging on. now I just feel like I have to do something just to shut her up. So you might get to that point one day. But, some of you will jump right in. Some of you will sit on the sidelines and watch. Some of you will be like, I'm never going there with that crazy Irish bitch ever, which is totally fine because I'm not for everybody. And some of you will just hang around for a while and, and ask questions and, be skeptical, which I love because a good healthy skeptic is actually really, really wonderful because it means that you have questions and you don't just take information on good faith. So anyway, I'm so happy you're here. Oh, I can't believe I've gone way over in time. Sorry. So happy you're here. Love every single one of you. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, I'm going to teach you time management. I'm going to teach you how to have an extra hour every day. You're not going to want to miss it. I promise you're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to teach you tomorrow how to prioritize the things that you want in your life every single day. I'm going to teach you why you haven't prioritized them. I'm going to teach you how to prioritize them. And I'm going to give you an extra hour to do it. And I'm going to blow your mind. I swear I'm going to blow your mind tomorrow. You're going to come away from tomorrow going, oh my God, this all makes sense. It all makes sense. So promise me you'll show up live if you can. If you can't, watch the replay. And then we're going to be back here for Q&A in the afternoon. And then Friday's our last day together, but hopefully not our last day because I am going to release the Ultimate Over 50 6-week shred with a very special fast action bonus. Only for those who purchase in the first 2 days. Can't tell you what it is. Going to tell you on Friday. We're going to have a party here. We're going to have champagne. We're going to have party poppers. Oh, we're going to have such a party here on Friday. You have no idea. It's going to be amazing. So anyway, until tomorrow, wish I could reach through and give you all a big smooch. But I can't. But feel my virtual smooches. And I will see you all tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. Love you all so much.